I wanted to talk about the kind of mental issues that I have as a consequence of having been given that. Well, maybe as a consequence of that, and all the trauma afterwards, living in the streets, and the number of times that I've been dosed with drugs of one kind or another without people telling me. As far as I'm pretty sure it's happened at least 3 times, and I put the event in Tapachula. I put that down to the mold on the hotel room walls. I think it was that tripped me. But these things, they mix. The after effects of one mix into the effects of the next one. But the thing that happened in Guanay on the 13th of April, I remember it being very, very close to the 150th anniversary of the start of the American Civil War. And I'll tell you, that's when it started, when it kicked in at first, when I was still in the house at Guanay on the corner of the Cancha there. I had a feeling that there were thousands of spirits in my head. Thousands and thousands and thousands of screaming, shrieking, mad things. And I think I was in the house for about 6 or 7 hours before I decided to leave and go somewhere else. And I told Doña Rachel, who lived downstairs, and I said, I'm going to La Paz for a while. And I thought, I've taken something's in, and I didn't know what it was. I saw the place, the lady that sold me the coca the day before, and I thought, I wonder if she's done something. And I looked at the coca she was selling, and I was about to buy some more, and I thought, no, and I got a kind of terror from her, and then I kind of ran away to the taxi stand. And at the taxi stand, I knew I had problems, and I said, I want the taxi all on my own. I want the car to take me all the way to Coroico, or to, I can't remember the name, Yolacita, the little town below Coroico, on the road where the transport often stops. Hey, Yolacita. And so I paid the whole lot in advance for the taxi, and I said, right, let's go. And then at the last minute, this guy called Freddie kind of barged in and took a seat in the taxi. And the driver, whose name was Elmer, let him. And I said, no, I want the taxi to myself. And he said, no, he's okay. And this guy had square glasses, and he was thin, slim build. And we drove off, and I started getting hotter and feeling more and more uncomfortable with this temperature in my legs. And the reason that I thought it was Brugmansia was that I read symptoms of Brugmansia poisoning in a toxicologist's website somewhere. And I thought, that's it. But I know some ayahuasqueros in Peru apparently mix Brugmansia with ayahuasca, so it may have had ayahuasca as well, but I don't know. I've never knowingly taken ayahuasca. I have knowingly taken Brugmansia, small doses afterwards, to see what the effects were. But I never had I can eat a leaf, or I can eat quite a bit of one of the flowers of that plant without suffering much more than being irritable for a few days. I like that plant, but it doesn't taste bad either. It tastes, quite nice. You can eat the leaves or the stamen or the petals. Look it up on Wikipedia, see what I'm doing. And one thing I did notice with it is that you can take it with alcohol, and it will. If you mixed it with alcohol, I reckon you would get a kind of alcohol that was not addictive. You just would not want any more of it. That's the sort of thing we should be looking for in treating alcoholism. I mean, there are a lot of different kinds of alcoholism, so you need to know what stage people are at. But Brugmansia has a real application in treating addiction to tobacco, alcohol, all sorts of things. Because the way those things are marketed, you obviously you're not going to sell much of this stuff when you sell it like that, right? You only sell addictive substances because they're addictive, because people want more. In South Africa in the 70s and 60s, and I'm sure still now, they won't sell spirit, pure spirit. They sell methylated spirit. They put a purple poison and a dye in it, and they actually intentionally make it toxic. And people still drink it anyway. And Drunk James on our street in Mill Park in Port Elizabeth, I mean, he used to drink methylated spirits. He just killed himself, I'm sure, drinking meth. But in Bolivia, they sell pure cane alcohol, and they sell it everywhere in South America. And it's alcoholic, and the alcoholics take a long time to die. Their fingers go fat, and then their kidneys fail. Anyway, back to the story. So, Brugmansia in the cab, and then as we go, it starts getting bad, and then that episode, those thoughts about animals, that episode of heating in my feet, the intense heat of my feet that made me throw my shoes away, all of that passed. Well, all that happened, and then at somewhere around that Instituto Cristoforo Colombo on about kilometer 30 from Coroico, kilometer 30 from Caranavi. Oh yeah, the guy only took me to Caranavi, not to Yolosita. I was only to Caranavi that I was going, and I was going to get another taxi or a bus or something to La Paz or something like that. That's right. But there's more to the story, because the point I want to get to is a kind of out-of-body experience I had, or out-of-my-body experience. And I think it's to do with the enteric and sympathetic nervous systems and the central nervous system. This guy, Freddie, stopped the cab and said, "We're going to pick up these two." And it was a man with the most extraordinary face. He was one of those people. You'll see, I'm sure you can find photographs of them, real live people whose faces just look like skulls. And he was one of these. He looked like a skeleton with flesh. His shape of his face was as if there were no muscles. It was skin stretched tight over a skull. He had no muscles in his face. And a young girl with him. And I've been reading Lewis Carroll. I'm full of all this Christian crap, and having been puzzling over a couple of days before the, oh my God, Alice in Wonderland, that book is a nightmare. It's not a children's book. Anyway, I lost my thread again. Smoking these fucking things 30 a day now. No, it's not that bad. These two get in, I think, oh, it's Joseph and Mary. And I'm sitting in the front with my, no, I'm sitting in the back. I'm sitting in the back. Freddie's in the front. It's a left-hand drive car. Elmer's driving on the left-hand side in the front. Freddie's on the right-hand side in the front seat. I'm on the left, and these two get in the seat next to me. And Freddie's kind of turning around and starts talking about something. And for some reason, I think it's your glasses. It's your glasses. I said, take off your glasses, and I reached forward and I knocked the glasses off like that. Just with the tip of my finger, tuk, and they fell off his nose. And the instant the glasses fell off his nose, I felt like I was being poured into his body. I felt I was just going into him, wah, like that, like some kind of monster. The next thing I know, I'm sitting in the right-hand front seat of the car, looking back, shouting and bellowing at the top of my voice in a kind of way that you shout when you're in that paralyzed state of sleep, where you're actually consciously awake, but your motor cortex is shut down. You can't move your body. You know those dreams you have, they're associated with images like the girl who's sleeping on the bed with a goblin on her chest, who's gothic notions of possession. But it was like that, except I was sitting up, and I think actually I was speaking through my stomach because I was foaming at the mouth. But I was shouting, go into them, as if I was kind of exorcising the guy on the right, who was me. And although I'd been wearing a red t-shirt with presumably green froth dripping down it, the guy in the back had a green t-shirt on. And he was just saying, no, like this. And then something happened. That didn't seem to last very long, but the taxi stopped. And the taxi stopped, and I said, I've got to go. I've got to get out of here. I've got to shit. I was boiling inside. My whole intestine was boiling. I said, I've got to go and shit. And I dived off into the bushes. And I just lay down. There were mosquitoes, and it was middle of the day. It was hot, and I just lay down and crouched down and huddled. I took my pants off, and I did this enormous, soft, hot shit, which somebody later told me is a kind of purge. That's one of the kinds of purge you get from, maybe he said it was peyote. And And then I just fell forward, and I had the image of this shit turning into a snake. And I thought this snake was in me, and the snake is gone now. And I looked down at my leg, my knee here, and just because of my heartbeat, I could see a pulsing vein. Maybe it's the artery, but there was a pulsing in my leg. And I thought of cancer, and I thought of something in there that I have to get out. So it's not all out, it's still in there. So I went back up to the car, and I started asking them, I said, has anybody got a knife? Because there's a snake in my leg, I've got to cut it out. And another car came up the road with some people that I actually knew from Guanay in it. I think one of them I met several times later in Cochabamba. He used to drive a minibus. And I think another one was the daughter of Veronica, who was the owner of the house. Anyway, I asked them for a knife, and they didn't have a knife. They said, no, you need to get to hospital. And so I thought, oh, fuck it. And I went back to the car and apologized to this couple and got in, and I gave away a USB stick with my stuff on, and I said, take that to El Huevo, take that to Avo. And then I went off, and I got to Caranavi, and I got out of the car in Caranavi, and then I was going to vomit, so I went over into the corner and I vomited what looked like a fluorescent green, perfectly clear vomit. It looked like, well, somebody told me, I thought it looked like hydraulic fluid, but somebody told me no, it's antifreeze, water with antifreeze in that has that fluorescent green color. I vomited that into the gutter, and I felt a bit better, and then I got a taxi from Guanay to Yolasita, or to Coroico, right? I got the taxi all the way to the plaza in Coroico, and started wandering around looking for Las Piedras, the stones that move, and oh God, what a lot of nonsense. And Obama and Baum and Danny Baum, my friend who lives in New York, who lived in New York. That's a kind of girl biker gang called Katerina's Bikers. So that's when I met Iwe, this guy whose feet were so tortured that I thought he must have lived his whole life in shackles or something. His feet were all like this, just closed up. He was crippled and incontinent. He'd apparently been there 2 weeks waiting for his friend who 40 years earlier, who was his dead friend, who 40 years ago had told him to go to Coroico on some certain date and that he would meet him there. So I started thinking about Che Guevara and all this stuff. Oh my God. And then we got a taxi the next day. I paid for the two of us. I had my money and my computer and my passport and all my stuff. I paid for a room in the hotel there, somewhere near the Golden Showers Hotel. Maybe it was the Golden Showers Hotel. There wasn't any of that going on. And the next day we got a taxi along the old death road up to Miraflores, not Miraflores, where the Adep Coca is, where the buses stop for Guanay. I can't remember the name of that district of La Paz. And then the thing was to get to the Shakira gig in Santa Cruz, which had been the week before. Oh my God. I don't want to go on anymore. It gets more embarrassing. But anyway, that may have actually been a kind of out-of-body experience, or that experience really changed my idea about what the human mind is, and as you can imagine, it would. And so yesterday, what I wanted to relate was yesterday I lost this basket. I'd left it when I took the pictures of the army, the army photographs exhibition here. I'd left it on a bench over there, and then I'd come here, I'd eaten an ice cream, taken some photos, and there was no basket. I thought, where's my basket? And I instantly had a whole recurrence of this thing, which has happened more than once. I get stressed, I forget something, I lose my cigarettes, or I lose just some minor, unimportant piece of personal apparel like this. And I honestly feel like maybe I'm dead, maybe I died, and now maybe it's a different time, and I've come back, because I just I've lost that sense of consciousness of those moments of my life, and where have they gone? What happened to me in that time? And for me, that is seriously a traumatic experience now, after this experience in the taxi, because that now feels to me as if I've died. I've lost my conscious attention for so long that I'm missing a piece of my life. I don't know what happened in that time. I don't know what I might have done. I don't know what time it is now. And it took quite a bit to recover my composure. I went back to the cafe, and Livia was there, and I said, I lost my thing. I lost my basket. I don't know where. I have no idea. I've looked for it. I can't find it. And she said, well, go look for it again. And I just went out again and looked, and I found it. And then I went back to the cafe and I said to Livia, it's okay, I found it. And I felt better. But just today, Livia said to me, oh, well, as you left the cafe, I was thinking hard about you and saying, I was trying to manifest that you'd find that thing. And maybe it worked, it did work. So anyway, I think Livia is a bona fide Charlie's Angel. But without the kind of life that I live now, I have so little continuity, so little social continuity, such sporadic email communication, that I frequently lose my faith that the people that I'm writing to are actually the people that I'm writing to, because that continuity isn't in their writing, and it's especially bad with my parents. There's no connection. It just. But my mother just sent me an email today saying, oh well, we have power outages, regular power outages. As a consequence of the failed state that they live in, they don't have regular power. So her communications, she can't watch videos, she can't look at a if I make a web page like I'd made today with a whole lot of videos on it, she can't watch them. Even if she wanted to, I don't know if she does. So I ask her questions about what I'm writing, and there's no connection between. I'm outputting stuff, and I have no sense that anybody is taking any of it in, and that to me feels like gaslighting, because it kind of invalidates what I'm doing, and I'm actually working hard to connect these ideas, and I'm working. Yeah, and I get very little help. So that's my mental state. Thank you, whoever watches this.